Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. As preparedness-minded individuals, eventually throughout our prepping journey we amass a lot of inventory of vital emergency supplies. If you have to leave your home for prolonged periods of time, be it for work or leisure, it's important that you take the appropriate steps to safeguard your property from theft, vandalism, fire, or flooding. Many people in my experience seem to be oblivious to what would for some people be common sense operational security principles. Today I'm going to provide you with a checklist of things that you can do. Some of these things are going to be very simple that require no investment whatsoever. Others will be more complicated and will require modification of your home. So let's get into it. One of the first things that you should do if you're planning on leaving home for an extended period of time is make sure you pack a bug-out bag. Now you think that this would go without saying for most preppers, but if you're like me, you get caught up in the world of macro preparedness where everything is about bugging in and renewables, and you forget about the day one stuff. And day one stuff is putting a bug-out bag in your vehicle. There's thousands of videos on YouTube which go into great detail about how to make a bug-out bag. Personally, I take my two bug-out rolls. One is full of various survival gear, and I have another one which is full of first aid equipment. And depending on the time of year, of course, that's going to determine what other things I'm going to be putting in my vehicle. Now, obviously, if you're going on an airplane or if you're leaving the country, you're going to be limited with what you can carry. Having a get-home plan for when you're outside of the country or traveling by air is an issue we can address in more depth at a future time. But disaster absolutely could strike if you're away from home and you need to have a get-home plan, which can be supported by your get-home bag. Bringing extra gasoline, even if you're not going off the grid, is always a good thing to have. It may not even be a grid down situation you find yourself in. You may just have forgot to gas up at the last gas stop, and before you know it, you find yourself stuck on the highway in the middle of winter. Now, two of the best security things that you can have in your home is a wireless surveillance system and a wireless security system. There's a video on YouTube called Inside the Mind of a Thief, and basically it's a burglar confessional. Somebody who has burglarized homes their entire life shares their secrets about which houses they would target. And one of the things he indicates is that you should have a wireless security system if you're going to have a security system. Because an experienced burglar, if they know it's not wireless, a lot of these security systems can be disabled by simply cutting the power or the phone lines, and this is where wired systems are vulnerable. A wireless system is going to immediately notify your security company if these lines are tampered with. Security system and wireless surveillance are two of the most practical safeguards against burglary and vandalism of your home. They are probably the best investments you can make for your home security, at least while the grid is on. Now, when it comes to Wi-Fi cameras, I find that they are not as reliable as a wired system. So I'm still a person who prefers a wired system. It's going to take you a lot longer to rough in a wired security system, and in some ways you could argue it's not as secure because people can tamper with the cords, but it's going to be 100% reliable. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to see what's going on at your home. In my experience, and the technology may have improved since this experience, Wi-Fi cameras can disconnect for a variety of different reasons, and they require a manual resetting, which is going to be impossible for you to do while you're away from your home. So these then are going to be useless. Now, if you don't have this, obviously you can use decoys and dummy cameras, or you can just buy the Bluff security and surveillance stickers off of Amazon, plaster those on your house, and maybe that might deter a thief. Unfortunately, you're probably not going to be able to fool an experienced thief with generic alarm stickers and decoy cameras. The next thing is that you absolutely do not want to post on social media that you are going on a trip. You're going to be very tempted to post those pictures of yourself at your destination while you're away from your home, but I would strongly encourage you to refrain from doing this. And you definitely want to make sure that you are not reporting your location to Facebook and that that's not being posted to your profile. Wait till you get back from your trip, or you're almost back for your trip, and then you can post all of those pictures and get all of those likes and attention that we all enjoy. Another thing I would strongly encourage you to get, if you do have a wireless system, this is a really cheap fix. You can get these smart lights that you can basically control from anywhere. They're about 10 bucks a pop. You can put them in your house, and you can control them so that, you know, if you want to make it look like you're home when you're not home, and you can set it to a variable schedule So you can use the whole Macaulay Culkin Home Alone strategy where you're turning the lights off and on at variable times to make it seem like there's somebody in the house. You can actually control these lights from a remote location, so it's much different than having your lights on a timer. If you don't want to do that, make sure you leave lights on in the house, but don't leave the lights on in an open area in which people can peer into. You want to create an element of uncertainty, and you don't want to be showcasing everything that's in your house. So there should be apparent that there's a light on in the house, but that light should not be able to give any information to a potential thief that would help them in their burglarization of your house. You should absolutely put 3-inch screws through the strike plate on your doorknob's door frame. This will definitely slow a thief who's trying to bust through your door with brute force. I would also strongly recommend the Nightlock system. This is a relatively cheap and effective way of increasing the strength of your door at least 3 to 4-fold. I did a video very similar to this one before where I talk about some of these things, entitled How to Zombie Proof Your Home. Window bars are another option. I would strongly recommend that if your house was fenced in, that you applied locks to the gates of those fences. Obviously, a dedicated thief would take bolt cutters and would not be fully deterred by a lock on a perimeter fence. However, anything you can do to slow a thief down and create more resistance for them is going to make it much less likely that your home will be a target while you're away. One thing you should absolutely do is unplug any electronics that do not need to be plugged in that may pose a fire hazard if you're away. Obviously, if you're running a surveillance and security system, you can't shut the power off altogether. But this will definitely minimize the risk of fire while you're away. Some people recommend, if you're going away for long periods of time, that you should actually shut off the main water valve to your home, just in case there was a pipe in your home that burst. If you choose not to do this, you still want to make sure that most of your valuable stuff is off the ground in the low-lying areas of your basement. Another thing you want to do is maintain your property now, particularly if you're a prepper and you are storing large amounts of food in your home, because if you're not going to be there for an extended period of time, you may come back to a pest infestation of a insect or mammalian sort. And who doesn't like coming home to a clean home? In addition to this, making sure that you seal up any boxes of food or dried goods just to discourage any pests from wanting to squat in your abode while you're away. Adjusting the thermostat will save yourself money. It doesn't have to be room temperature if you're not there. Obviously, in the winter time, to prevent the pipes from freezing, you're obviously going to want to keep the temperature well above zero, especially if you live where I live and it's very cold. Another thing to do is make sure you maintain your property. Cut your grass before you leave. Make sure that your property looks like it's well maintained and that there's actually somebody there. Don't leave a bunch of flyers in your mailbox if at all possible. Cancel any newspaper or flyer subscriptions for the period of time that you're gone. And if at all possible, leave a vehicle in the driveway, as this makes it look like somebody is there. If you're concerned about saving more money on energy, you can power down your water heater, which tends to keep the water at a higher temperature because it takes more energy to constantly heat it up than it does to maintain that high temperature. But if you're not home, you don't need to be paying for BTUs that you're not using. So put your water heater into vacation mode. Some water heaters will have an actual dial that says vacation mode. Unless you have really good neighbors that you know and trust, try not to make it too obvious that you're going on vacation. You can do this by being more discreet when you are packing up to leave. For example, not doing it in broad daylight. Just try to be less transparent and more covert about your packing operations. And hopefully nobody even knows that you're gone. Now, obviously, if you do have neighbors that you trust, then that can be a great asset in terms of securing your property while you're away. But you should not rely on that fully, because obviously they can't be there and have their eyes on your property 24/7. It is always good to let a family member or a friend know that you're going away, should they need to respond to a security alarm or go to the home to check up on things. Because if your alarm does go off, the police are probably going to end up kicking in your door, and you're going to need somebody to re-secure the home afterwards. I hope you found these tips useful today. Let me know if you have any other suggestions for things you can do to secure your property while you're going away for short or long periods of time. Let me know in the comment section below, and maybe your comment will be the one that gets pinned. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out. The best way to support this YouTube channel is to support yourself by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com or BugOutRoll.ca. Premium quality gear at the best possible price using the incredibly secure and easy to use Shopify platform. We offer free shipping to the United States for orders over $200 USD and free shipping to Canada over $75. So support the channel by supporting yourself.